systems. You mentioned the league Gonzaga plays in. Before we move on, let's point out that the West Coast Conference is awesome.
I was going to say this for Final Four and 1, but you want to get into it right now? Let's do it, my man.
It has been an incredible few nights for the West Coast Conference. Gonzaga is now 6-0 with wins over Texas and UCLA. They're ranked first at KenPom. But it doesn't stop there. BYU is 4-0 with wins over San Diego State and Oregon. They're 27th at KenPom. San Francisco is 6-0. Beat Davidson and Nevada. They're 37th at KenPom. St. Mary's is 5-0. 41st at KenPom. Beat Oregon and Notre Dame. And Santa Clara, Herb Sindek, 5-0. Beat Stanford by 16, Nevada by 22, TCU by 19. They're 71st at KenPom. Right now, the WCC has 4 teams in the top 45 at KenPom. That is the same number as the Pac-12, as the ACC, and as the Big East. And the American Athletic Conference, which typically finishes 1 spot ahead of the WCC in the conference standings, the American only has 2 in the top 45, Houston and Memphis. Again, the WCC has 4. That's the same number as the Pac-12, ACC, and the Big East. That league is really operating, really well right now in a way that we shouldn't be surprised by Gonzaga, maybe not by BYU. San Francisco had strong computer numbers in the preseason, but St. Mary's seems to be back to what St. Mary's has been in its best days under Randy Bennett. And Santa Clara sitting here at 5-0 with a 16-point win over a Pac-12 team and a 19-point win over a Big 12 team. Like that's a. I said this because we had Santa Clara's game on our air Monday night, CBS Sports Network. I was in studio. Like I've watched them twice now, I think. That's a team that could win an NCAA tournament game if it gets into the NCAA tournament. You got to get there. And the problem for them is that they're not in some one-bid league where they can just go win the auto bid because you got to beat Gonzaga in this league to get the auto bid. Good luck. But if they can get an at-large bid to the NCAA tournament, that Santa Clara team's good enough to win a game.
Before I get into a little bit of the WCC here, you can see it on the screen right now, hashtag 4BidWCC. Like, I'm serious. 27-0 combined with those 5 teams. Like, I sent out hashtag 4BidWCC, and people are like, 5-bid. 5 is going to be a lot. But there's already a significant portion of the non-conference schedule that has been played, and these teams haven't lost yet. One of them will have in the Final Four. Actually, 2 of them will have in the Final Four and 1 in a little bit here. But Parrish, like I said in the preseason, this was going to be the best season in the history of the conference. That's clearly going to be the case. Even if it's a split top half, bottom half, it's just never been this good. It's going to take a monumental collapse from the likes of Santa Clara, the Dons of San Francisco, and then like a St. Mary's, which, is playing in the Maui championship game on Wednesday. You with me, right? I mean, this clearly seems to be where we're heading because we don't have, again, the likes of the Big Ten, the ACC, the Pac-12. These conferences have not performed in sterling fashion through the first 2 weeks and a day here throughout the season. So I'm just saying, 4-bid WCC.
Well, how about this? If you were doing a bracket tonight, you would probably have 4 WCC teams in it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just based on the records and the computer numbers, you would probably have 4 WCC teams in it. We'll see. But, this whole bottom half, top half split is not the worst thing in the world for a league to have. I mean, I know a commissioner wants every team in the league to be good, but if you're a coach in the league, hey, let's build up strong computer numbers among the top 4 or 5, and let's only beat each other, and lose to each other, and then let's beat the rest of them with no exception.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you get 3 teams, 4 teams, 5 teams. You don't want your teams at the bottom capable of beating your teams at the top. That's a disaster. And so the good news for the WCC is the teams at the bottom might be so drastically separated from, the top 4 or 5 even, that they won't be at risk of taking those losses. And, when you're trying to build a resume, when you're in the ACC, you can go get big quad 1 wins. Big 12, you can go get big quad 1 wins. in the WCC, there's not going to be those types of opportunities to go get these big signature wins. So what's the next best thing you can do? Avoid the bad losses. And that's why it's not the worst thing when the teams below you aren't seriously a threat to you.
We'll remind listeners there's a sixth team that could also be a benefit to the league. Loyola Marymount was expected to be better than Santa Clara, and in the eyes of some, better than San Francisco. That hasn't been the case, but they are 3-2 with a win over SMU. So just keep that in mind as well. Yeah, but you laid out the teams before. The conference's wins over SMU, TCU, Notre Dame, Oregon, Texas, Oregon twice, San Diego State. There's just a lot of quality wins to this point, and they should have a good shot. Santa Clara does have one of its better players who's going to be out with mono for a few weeks, so hopefully they're not held back too far by that. But yeah, it's been good. By the way, on Torvik, you can search to eliminate all. KenPom right now still has preseason bias built in, right? So that's why, for example, if you go and look and you'll see like 2-loss Villanova hasn't dropped a lot because there's preseason bias and historical bias. You can filter out to just results this season. And Torvik's got 5 WCC teams in his top 53. He's got San Francisco 53, St. Mary's weirdly at 51, Santa Clara up at 29, BYU at 10. And this is just based off of opponents and what you've done. This will get updated. It doesn't reflect the Gonzaga win. He's actually got Arizona 1 and Gonzaga 2 based off pure performance, no preseason bias. Gonzaga will no doubt go to number 1 once that updates in the morning there. But big win for the Zags, and we'll get to the Duke game in just a little bit.